Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us today. So we'd like to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyam Sundar, Krishna Balaram, Gauranitai, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees to continue the series on Devatas. We'd like to also seek their kind blessings so that we can understand how they operate within this material world, their function, and seek their blessings so that we can become closer to the Supreme Lord. So far we've looked at Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Durga Mata, Lord Ganesh, Indra Dev, Surya Dev, Chandra Dev, and now today we want to look at Agnideva, the fire god. He's the Devata of fire. There's a few theories about his birth. It's a bit of a mystery. Some say his parents are Kashyap and Aditi, so he's one of the Adityas. Some say he's born of Dyaus, Pita, and Prithvi. Or he's a son of 10 mothers who are all sisters, depicting the 10 fingers of a man. But this is the most common, I think. Son of Yamraj and Vasu, one of the daughters of Daksha. I think this is stated in the scriptures as well. He's described as a fiery red colored, with a fiery red colored body, having 3 legs and 7 fiery tongues, 7 hands, sharp golden teeth. He's got 2 faces smeared with ghee to provide fuel to the flame. We've got black eyes and wild black hair. 7 rays of light come out of his body. It's often shown to be riding a chariot, either pulled by rams or goats, or sometimes he rides parrots. So this is a little idea of what he looks like. Very interesting personality, powerful, of course. So he's a demigod, a saintly Brahmin, a great sage as well. He's also known as Pavaka. So sometime when we do Yajna, we invoke the fire, Pavaka, named Pavaka, Kanina, Chatukanya, Agnivesha. So this is regarded as quite common, son of Yamraj and Vasu. So here we have Yamraj is married to different daughters of Daksha, and from Vasu comes Agni. So, and then he's got various progeny himself. He's the husband of Swaha Kritika Dhara. Here, Swaha Kritika Dhara. And he's the father of Swaroshisha Manu, who is the second Manu. So the first Manu is Swambhuva Manu. Second Manu is this one here, Kartikeya. So this is, of course, the son of Lord Shiva, but Agni played a role in the appearance of Kartikeya and different fire gods as well. And there's 45 different fire gods here. So he's the uncle of Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is the architect of the demigods. So he's Vishwakarma, somewhere around here there is. So one of the, from Vastu comes Vishwakarma through Angiras, Rishi. So the 2 faces are indicative of his benevolent and destructive qualities. So Agni can be, of course, life-saving. If you're very cold, you can light a fire and save your life. Or, of course, as we know, it can be extremely destructive. Agni does not differentiate between his devotees. He visits everyone's hearth, irrespective of their financial status. For him, the young and the old, the rich and the poor, the Brahmin and Kshatriya, everyone is equal. He's often thought to be a mediator between heaven and earth, which is why all yagyas take place with Agni being present. So that's quite interesting. That, he's the mediator between the demigods and the humans, and Agni is present both in heaven and on earth. And when we do yagyas, Agni has to be present. He's like the conduit through whom the sacrifice is offered. So when we perform a yagya, we invite Lord Vishnu in the form of Agni to come and accept the offerings. It is said that when people use fire, they should use it in different directions. For offerings to these, offering sacrifices to the devatas, the fire should be in the direction facing east. While facing south, the fire should be offered, should be used to offer sacrifices to the dead. When cooking, direction of the fire should be in the west. So we got east, south, west, and to reduce, he has the power to reduce a person's sin and grant him immortality. He gives out light of knowledge and leads us to the path of truth. He is the mouth of the gods. He is the divine personification of the sacrificial fire. Agni Puran, which is one of the 18 Puranas, states that one cannot approach any devata without using Agni as a medium. No divinity can come without the presence of Agni. It is also written that Agni was the son of Agniras, who discovered fire and its uses. His most destructive form is the Krab Yad form. So this thing about the mystery about the fathers, I mean, they all might be fathers and mothers. They might all be true because in different yugas, in different manvantaras, Agni appears in a different way. So who knows how he's appeared in previous ages. In the Vedas, it is written that Agni, Vayu, and Soma are the representation of fire, water, and air. These are 3 of the 5 Tan mantras born from the 3 heated words. They were the principal deities in Vedic times. Agni was used to bring the subject and object together and establish a relationship between them, known as Sambandha. And Vayu helps in the process and development of that relationship, known as Abhidaya. And Soma, used to convert forms into pleasure felt in the consciousness, known as Prayojana. So we're quite familiar with Sambandha, established relationship, Abhidaya, developing that relationship. And then the fruit is Prayojana. So Agni, Vayu, and Soma have a process in that as well. Devatas in charge of different portions of the universe. So we've seen before how different devatas are in charge of different parts of the universe. So Agni is in charge of the southeastern portion of the universe. Yam is in the charge of the southern portion. Niditi is in charge of the southwestern part of the universe. Varun is in charge of waters, in charge of the western portion of the universe. Vayu, who controls the airs and who has wings to travel in the air, is in charge of the northwestern part of the universe. And Kuver, treasurer of the demigods, is in charge of the northern part of the universe. So this is all from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 23rd chapter, 39th verse. As Agni is the guardian deity of the southeastern direction, he is typically found in the southeast corners of Hindu temples. Agni is said to have 10 forms: lightning, fire, of course, sun, absorbing fire, destructive fire, fire yielding through sticks used for sacrifice and rituals, fire given to a student during his Appanayan ceremony. So this would be typically the 6-month stage where one is given the first grains, if I'm not mistaken. Domestic fire used for household use. Southern fire of ancestors used for some types of rituals. And then we have the final one, which is the funeral fire in the cremations. So 10 different types of Agni. Agni is the messenger who carries all the prayers and wishes of the devotees to the Devatas. When Agni is happy, Devatas are generous and they listen to the prayers of the people. Together with Soma, Agni is invoked in the most in the Rig Veda, because Rig Veda is all about rituals and yagya. Amongst all the gods, he is invoked the most. The cultivated, cooked, and cultured aspects of Vedic ritual are represented by Agni. So very important in terms of Vedic dharma. Swaha, one of the daughters of Daksha and Prasuti, was given to be the wife of Agni. Swaha's name is uttered while offering oblations during the fire ceremony. So whenever we do yagya, we always say Swaha at the end of the offering of ghee and other grains. Oblations offered in the sacrificial fire are meant for the Devatas. And on behalf of the Devatas, the 3 sons of Agni and Swaha, namely Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi, accept the oblations. So it's a family tradition. From those 3 sons, another 45 descendants were generated. So we saw that in that little diagram right at the beginning, who are also fire gods. The total number of fire gods is therefore 49, including the fathers and the grandfather. The grandfather is Agni, the sons are Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi. Counting these 4 plus 45 grandsons, there are altogether 49 different fire gods. Krita Devi, after receiving the semen of Lord Shiva from Agni, conceived a child named Skanda Kartikeya, whose sons were headed by Vishaka. The second Manu, whose name is Swarosisha, was the son of Agni. Although the names of Indra and Agni are sometimes uttered in the Vedic mantras, Indraya Swaha, Agniye Swaha, the Vedic sacrifices are actually performed for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. That's a very interesting point. So Agni is there, is present, he's used as a medium. So when we do yajnas, we do invite Lord Vishnu in the form of Agni. And this is confirmed by Srimad Bhagavatam 6, Canto 18, chapter text 33 and 34. In the Shruti mantras, it is said Agni Sarva Devata. Fire is the aggregate of all devatas. Agni is the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is through Agni or fire that the Lord accepts all sacrificial oblations. Agni is also considered the mouth of the devatas and devotees, and the medium that conveys offerings to them in a Homa Vedic ritual. He is conceptualized in ancient texts to exist at 3 levels. So on earth as fire, in the atmosphere as lightning, and in the sky as the sun. So he's got a connection with the sun as well, Surya Dev. This triple presence accords him as the messenger between the devatas and human beings in the Vedic scriptures. Agni remains an integral part of Vedic traditions, such as being the central witness of the rite of passage ritual in the traditional Hindu weddings known as Saptapadi or Agni Pradakshanam, 7 steps and mutual vows, in the Upanayana ceremony of the rites of passage, being part of the diya, the lamps in festivals such as Deepavali or artis in the puja. Every single day we do arti, at least once. So we're offering that to Lord Vishnu. Agni is conceptualized as the source of the creator, maintainer, and destroyer triad, one of the trinities, as the one who ruled the earth. His twin brother, Indra. Twin brother because then we're looking at him as being the son of Aditi and Kashyap, so one of the Adityas, as is Indra. His twin brother Indra ruled the atmosphere as god of storm, rain, and war, while Surya rules the sky and the heavens. Agni occupies, after Indra, the most important position of the devatas. Agnideva is said to be Indra's twin brother, maybe because of his immense power and vigor, like Indra. Agni is prominent in the hymns of the Vedas, particularly the Brahmanas. In the Rig Vedas, there are over 200 hymns that praise Agni. His name or synonyms appear in nearly a third of 1,028 hymns in the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda opens with a hymn inviting Agni, who is then addressed later in the hymn known as the guardian of Dharma, Rita. The hymns in these ancient texts refer to Agni with numerous synonyms as follows. So these are different names. Jatavedas, one who knows all generations. Vaishva Nara, relating to all men. This is also another name for Lord Vishnu. And this is also the fire that is invoked when the child takes the first grains. We invoke this particular aspect of the Lord to enter the stomach of the child so that the child is able to digest all of the food, turn into energy so that he can serve the Lord. Tanup Napat, son of himself, self-made. Narasamha, one who embodies men's praise. Tripatsya, with 3 dwellings, and many others. In Vedic scriptures, Agni is also presented as one who is mysterious, with a tendency to play hide and seek, not just with humans, but with the devatas. He hides in strange places, such as water, wherein one pastime, he imbues life force into living beings that dwell within, and in another, where the fishes report his presence to the devatas. So that's quite interesting. Agni can actually reside in water, so powerful. Agni is also famously known as Pavaka, sanctifier of everything, Havya Vahana, one who carries the sacrificial butter, Saptajivi, one of the 7 tongues, flames, consumes the sacrificial butter very fast. Vahani, traveling with wind. Anala, one of the Vasus. Hutasshana, Chitrabhanu, colorful light. Jwalana, glowing. Vaishvanara, Vibha Vasu, whose light is wealth. So there's different pastimes as well we can take note of. Indra once took the shape of a pigeon-hunted eagle. Eagle. And Agni, the fire god, took the shape of a pigeon. The pigeon, while being chased by the eagle, took shelter on the lap of Maharaj Sibi. So this pastime is in the Bhagavatam. And the eagle wanted the pigeon back. The king wanted to give it some other meat to eat and requested the bird not to kill the pigeon. The eagle refused, and it was settled that the eagle would accept flesh from the body of the king, equal to the pigeon's weight. So the king began to cut flesh from his body to weigh in the balance equivalent to the weight of the pigeon. So this is the glory of Maharaj Sibi. The pigeon had come to take shelter from Maharaj Sibi, and he would not dismiss that request. The king protects all his citizens, whether they're human or animal. So he was ready to give his own flesh, but the mystic pigeon always remained heavier. The king then put himself on the balance, on the tula, to equate with the pigeon. The demigods were pleased and they disclosed their identities, blessing the king. So at that time, Indra and Agni revealed themselves. And you don't have to kill yourself. You were happy with your sacrifice. Once Agni had offended sage Bhrigu, who cursed him to become a devourer of everything in this world. Terrified of this curse, Agni went to Brahma and requested him to do something about it. Otherwise, Agni would have been responsible for the destruction of the entire world. So Brahma modified the curse in such a way that Agni becomes a purifier of all things he touches. So even though Agni may sometimes destroy, he actually purifies. When Ravan came to kidnap Mother Sita and she saw him, she took shelter of Agni, who protected her from the hands of Ravan. So this is where the Lakshman Rekha was produced, and she crossed that. When she crossed it, Agnideva gave her protection and replaced her with a Maya Sita. The fire god took away the real Sita and brought her to his abode. An illusory form of Mother Sita was then delivered to Ravan, and in this way Ravan was cheated when he kidnapped the false Sita. When Ramachandra tested the body of Sita, it was the false illusory Sita that entered the fire. So when Sita was rescued, Ramachandra insisted that a fire should be set up to test the purity of Sita. And of course, everybody was shocked, especially Lakshman, who was requested to build the fire. And the monkeys, everybody, why did we come and do all this fighting? Not for her to be burned. But of course, there was a reason for that, because the real Sita wasn't there. And in that fire, Agni brought the original Sita from his abode and delivered her to Lord Ramachandra, taking away the false Sita. This is a really fascinating pastime. Lord Brahma once ordered Maharaj Barishab, that's Prachina Bharhi, to marry the daughter of the ocean named Satadruti. Her bodily features were completely beautiful and she was very young. She was decorated with proper garments. And when she came into the marriage arena and began circumambulating it, the fire god Agni became so attracted to her that he desired her company, exactly as he had formerly desired to enjoy Sukhi, the wife of Saptarishi. When the fire god had been present long ago at the assembly of Saptarishi, he was attracted by the beauty of Sukhi when she was circumambulating the same way. Agni's wife named Swaha took the form of Sukhi and enjoyed sex life with Agni. So this is a pastime that took place. So we can see that Maya is so strong, even the strongest demigods can be potentially under the control of Maya, Yoga Maya, Mahamaya. Krishna, being engaged in the pastime of offering the Khandava forest, which belonged to King Indra, wanted to give it to Agni, because Agni was looking for something to eat. The Khandava forest contained many varieties of drugs, and Agni required them to eat them for regeneration. So something had happened to Agni. He was struggling. So he wanted to devour this forest fire. But Indra was duty bound to protect it because he had given shelter to Takshak, the snake, who was residing in that forest. So he wouldn't let Agni eat it, the forest. But Krishna, because Agni took shelter of Krishna. Agni, however, did not touch the Kanda forest directly, but requested Krishna to help him. Agni knew that Krishna was very much pleased with him because he had formerly given him the Sudarshan Chakra, the disc. Of course, that disc is an eternal associate of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. But he comes through the agency of Agni in this world and is gifted by Agni to Krishna. So Krishna has become pleased with him. So in order to satisfy Agni, Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna, and both went to the Kanda forest. After Agni had eaten up the Kanda forest, he was very much pleased. This time he offered a specific bow known as the Agnideva. He offered 5 white horses, a chariot, and an invincible quiver with 2 specific arrows considered to be the talisman, which had so much power that no warrior could counteract them. The chariot was capable of conquering all sides whenever it was drawn over the 3 worlds. So in order to satisfy Agni, Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna. So this is another reason why Krishna took charge of the chariot's gift from Agni, and he gave respect to that gift. This is the Supreme Lord. He never forgets what somebody gives him. He honors it. So we should always give something to the Supreme Lord, even if it's mentally, because that is considered as good as giving physically. So they both went to the Kanda forest. They had both gone there. After Agni had eaten up the Kanda forest, he was very much pleased. So this is from Krishna book, 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 58. So rites of passage, we've sort of been through this. Hindu weddings are performed around Agnis, called the Saptapadi, Sanskrit for 7 steps, feet, or Satpera, and it represents the legal part of Hindu marriage. The ritual involves a couple completing 7 actual and symbolic circuits around the Agni, and which is considered a witness to the vows they make to each other. Each circuit of the consecrated fire is led by either the bride or the groom, varying by community and regions. With each circuit, the couple makes a specific vow to establish some aspect of a happy relationship and household for each other, with Agni as the divine witness to those mutual vows. The Agnihotra involves fire, and the term refers to the ritual of keeping fire at home, and in some cases making sacrificial offerings such as milk and seeds to this fire. The Shautra texts state that it is a duty of man to perform Agnihotra. A wide range of Agnihotra procedures are found in the Brahmana layer of the Vedas, ranging from the most common simple keeping of sacred fire and its symbolisms to more complicated procedures for counteracting sinful behavior, to rituals claiming to grant immortality to the performer. According to the Jaiminiya Brahmana, for example, an Agnihotra sacrifice frees the performer from evil and death. In contrast, it states that the Shatapatha Brahmana, Agnihotra is a symbolic reminder and equivalent to the sun, where the firekeeper is reminded of the heat that creates fire, the fire in beings, the heat in the womb behind the cycle of life. So Agni is also known as Vaishvanara. Just as the illuminating power in the fire is the part of Agni's own effulgence, even so the heating power in the foods, digestive and appetizing power, is also part of Agni's energy or potency. So this is, otherwise we would not survive, because Agni is required in the fire to digest the food and turn it into energy. So without this, we couldn't live. Just like without Vayu and air, we can't live. This is why Agni is considered a very important Devata. He's viewed as the life force in a healthy body the power to digest foods, and innate in food. In Ayurveda, the amount of Agni determines the state of health. Agni, as a constitutive principle of health, heat, fire or heat, was incorporated in Vedic texts of ancient medicine such as Charaka Samhita and Shushrata Samhita. Agni is an important entity in Ayurveda. Agni is the fiery metabolic energy of digestion, allowing assimilation of food while ridding the body of waste and toxins, and transforms dense physical matter into subtle forms of energy the body needs. This is an art. This is an art. Chaturagni determines the production of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. Bhuta Agni determines the production of bile in the liver. Kloma Agni determines the production of sugar-digesting pancreatic enzymes. The nature and quality of these Agnis depends on one's dosh, which can be Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. So depending on our constitution, we will need different Agnis and different proportions to assist us to continue in our service to the Supreme Lord, in our well-being. So festivals, two big festivals that Agni is involved in, two major festivals, namely Holi and Diwali, incorporate Agni in their ritual grammar as a symbol of divine energy. During the autumn celebration of Diwali, traditional small fire lamps called diyas are included to mark the festivals. And for Holi, Hindus burn bonfires as Holika on the night before the spring festival. The bonfire marks God Agni, Devata Agni, and in rural Bharat, mothers carry their babies around the fire clockwise on Holika in Agni's remembrance. So, done this. He has two forms. Jataveda is the fire that carries the quid pro quo offerings to the demigods, in which case Agni is light identified with knowledge and with Brahman. In the Jataveda form, he who knows all creatures, Agni acts as a divine model for the priests, divine medium even. He is the messenger who carries the oblations from the gods to the demigods, from the humans to the demigods, bringing the gods to sacrifice, intercedes between gods and humans. So this is from the Rig Vedas. Together with Indra and Soma, Agni is invoked in the Rig Veda more than any other gods. And then the second form, which is Kravyad, is a form of Agni which cremates corpses, the fire of the funeral pyre that triggers the recycling of matter and spirit. In this way, states the Shatapatha Brahmana, after one's death and at the time of cremation, Agni heats up and burns only the body, yet by its, not only the body, but by its heat, one is reborn. So it's giving life to, giving another body to the soul as well. Because the body, the soul will be very attracted to that body and may just be around the area of the body, very attached. So Agni performs the function of destroying the body, giving life to the soul again in another body. So some of the gods that, demigods that Agni is identified with, Varun and Mitra. When Agni is born, he is Varun. When he is kindled, he is Mitra. Mitra is like friendship. He is also stated to become Varun in the evening and Mitra when he rises in the morning. So there's a close connection there. And he's closely identified with Indra. Agni is generally presented as Indra's twin. They both go and appear together. In chapter 13.3 of the Atharva Ved, Agni is said to become Indra when he illumines the sky. Agni is also called Vishva Veda, dawn, which refers to both Indra, the protector, and the all-knowing Agni. Also, it's connected to Rudra. In the Rig Veda, Agni is addressed as having the same fire nature as Rudra, because we know at the end, Rudra destroys. So The Shivling represents the pillar of fire, which is Agni. Verses 8 through 18 in this section 613 of Shatapatha Brahmana states that Rudra is the same as Agni, who is known by many other names. And later on, it also says this entire Agni fire altar has been now completed. He is now known as Rudra. Also connected with the sun, Savitra. Agni is same as Savitra during the day as he traverses the space, delivering light and heat to all living beings. It's also connected to Vayu and Soma, as we've seen a few times in this session. In the Vedas, Agni or fire, heat and light, Vayu or air, energy and action, or Soma, water, are the major deities who cooperate to empower all life. In some passages, they are stated to be aspects of the same energy that transforms. Also connected to Gayatri. In these scriptures here, Aita, Rhea, Jaiminiya, and Taittiriya. And the most revered Gayatri meter in the Sanskrit and Hindu tradition is also associated with Gayatri, Agni, just like Suryadev. Vak, the goddess of speech, Prana, life force, identified with Agni in the Jaiminiya Brahmana and other scriptures as well. And Sarama, in a hymn in praise of Agni, Rishi Parasar Shaktiya speaks of Sharama, the goddess of intuition, the forerunner of the dawn of truth in the human mind, who finds the truth which is lost. It is Sarama, which is a power of the truth, whose cows are the rays of the dawn of illumination, and who awakens man to find Agni standing in the supreme seat in God. So interesting how Agni has so many connections with so many other devatas. Very powerful devata. So I wanted to finish there. Are there any questions or any comments? Quite a lot to take in.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yes. Story of Prahlad, isn't it? When he was with the Holika in the fire.
Correct.
And
Correct.
the fire destroyed Holika. And that was something I remember. Right. And other thing is that the fire, not the fire, what we do, the Agni that we do at home for the homage ceremonies. It looks very pavitra, purifying, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Very purifying thing, and it sort of purifies the air, purifies us, and usually take a little bit of a ash and then take it put it on the tongue or on the throat.
Correct. Yeah. Indeed. And that's primarily because we are actually invoking Lord Vishnu to come in the form of Agni.
Yes.
So Agni is a fantastic medium because he liaises between the humans and the devatas. And also we can invoke Lord Vishnu in the form of Agni to come and please accept whatever offering we're giving. So yeah.
Very nice.
And actually in the Bhagavad Gita, I didn't put this down. I should have done that.
Yeah.
Krishna says, I am the finder of digestion. Vaishva Nara. He says, I am Vaishva Nara.
I was going to say that was the name of the fire in our stomach, Vaishvanara.
That's right. And that's Krishna himself. That's Krishna, Agni in the form of Krishna.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Nice.
Powerful demigod. Yes, Bhavin.
Yeah, it was a long lecture. I mean,
sorry about that.
Long, the whole paragraph about Agnideva. Quite a lot I've heard from it. Some of them I knew, some of them knew. The one which you said about this, the king.
Sibi.
Yeah, the eagle and the bird. Then he said that you have to weigh myself and then I give my flesh.
Yeah.
Because that one I've heard the story before, which is true. Agnideva is we all pray for it all the time. Even any ceremony, Havan, Yagna Kunds, whatever you say, even the marriage ceremony is Agni done. Little ceremony, Gayatri Mantra is done in the house. And this is the first time I hear that every time in the end we say Swaha. And Swaha is wife's name, which I didn't know.
Yeah. It's quite interesting.
Which is very nice, you know. And I think I have to read it again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's quite a lot.
Anyway, I have to go now.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Karuna?
Everybody, Hare Krishna to all, Mataji and you and devotees.
Thank you.
Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
Prabhuji, who is Niriti?
Niriti.
Devi? Yeah, Niriti.
Now you're asking. 1 second. Why do you always ask tough questions, huh?
No, it wasn't my question. It's Dhananjani's question.
She's a troublemaker. No. It's good to ask. It's good to check out what we're doing.
The next one.
Is it the next one?
Yeah. The house.
It's somewhere here.
Maybe after that.
Yeah, it is somewhere. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Niriti. I think this is he's connected to Yam, isn't he? Niriti. Is connected to Yamraj. In the sense of justice or something like that. Good question. We'll check it out. Good question. Actually, let's see if we can do it now. I always consult, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and thank you. You know us.
And then maybe a little bit confusion about the student, the Upanayan.
Oh yeah. That's actually
the Upanayan is the sacred thread. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and Prashan is for the 6 months.
Annaprashan, that's correct.
Yeah.
But that's Annaprashan is where we invoke the Vishva Nara fire to enter into the child's body. So the Upanaya is the witness of the boy or the girl, boy getting the Brahminical thread, isn't it? Yeah, that's a little. But I wonder if they use. I wonder if they use those name for both yagyas. No. Yeah, I was a bit confusing. I agree. Okay, Niriti. We came across her in the Bhagavatam. She is the personified death, decay, and sorrow, and associated with adharma. But she is a devata, devati.
Devi.
Yeah, Devi. Devata, devati. Yes, sir.
I thought Soma was the sun, was the moon god.
Soma is equivalent to the moon god, yes.
Here it says Soma represents the air in first sentence. If you go into the first paragraph.
No, Soma represents this part, is the water. Soma is the juice.
Yes, then it's
air is the Vayu, Agni is the
so it should be Agni, Soma, and Vayu then.
Yeah. So this actually should be the other way around.
Yeah, other way around. That's fine. That makes sense.
This should be here in that one there.
Yeah, Agni, Vayu, and Soma. Somaras is okay in what Indra drinks, isn't it? Vedas.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they get intoxicated on.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for spotting that. Okay. So, Agnideva ki jai. If there's nothing else, we can stop there. And tomorrow is Kalki Jayanti, so we'll celebrate Lord Kalki's appearance tomorrow. Agnideva ki jai, Kalki Avatar ki jai.